Hi everyone, welcome to the Just Add Spice Kitchen. Today we're going to be making a very tasty fish moly stew, and we're using fillets of flounder today. Very easy recipe, really mild spice profile, and this is a really light dish that can be prepared very quickly, and we're going to be using several ingredients today. Red onions are sliced, we have a marinade of green chilies, ginger, and garlic, some curry leaves, green chili separately for when we cook the stew, again some ginger, and I've crushed up some white pepper and some cardamom in that bowl. So we're going to see how all these ingredients play out in this dish. Stay tuned. I'm going to be preparing this flounder into pieces, slicing them into pieces. Each flounder will have 4 separate pieces. So we're going to have about 16 pieces of flounder for 4 fillets. And we're placing that into a separate bowl so we can set it aside before we prepare our marinade. And just showing you again how I'm slicing up that flounder into 4 separate little pieces so that it can be cooked evenly in that stew. Fish Moilee or Fish Moilee got its name from the British, who had coined the term based on a home cook that cooked the fish stew for them. Her name was Molly, and Carolites call it Fish Moilee. Americans and British call Fish Moilee, and it's just a way to have a milder form of a stew to be served with rice or any other appam or roti of your choice. Next, we're going to be preparing the marinade for the flounder, and it entails getting some ginger, garlic, and green chili into that chopper, along with some lemon juice to make it more spreadable. Here I am grinding it to a nice fine consistency. I didn't get it to as ground as I wanted it, so I'm going at it for a second time to grind it a little bit more, and added some lemon juice in the process. And we're going to massage this marinade into the flounder really gently so that each piece of flounder can grab onto that marinade and take on some of that flavor of the ginger, garlic, green chili, and the lemon juice. We're going to set it aside for 30 minutes and move on to the next step. Now we're going to start to separate some coconut milk from the can. It's a 14-ounce can of coconut milk, and what I did is I skimmed, in one bowl I skimmed off the thicker part of the coconut milk and put it in the bowl, and then the remaining coconut milk that was there, I did use 1 cup in another bowl, and I added the thick coconut that was skimmed off the top to the remainder of the thinner coconut milk, just to stir it together and give it some nice thicker consistency, because it looks like a coconut cream right now, so we want to make it a thicker type of coconut milk. So now we have 2 bowls. 1 coconut milk is thinner and 1 coconut milk is thicker. You could do this either of 2 ways. You can either do it the way I'm doing it right now, or you can shake the coconut milk can all together and dilute 1 portion and then keep the other portion as a thicker coconut milk. To a medium-sized Dutch oven on medium heat, I have some coconut oil heating in the pot, and I'm going to start prepping the ingredients for the stew. We're going to nestle the fish fillets into the stew, the pieces of flounder. So we're going to start by adding sliced onions, red onions, to the pot, and we're going to saute these until they become translucent and that vibrant red color appears. Following this, we're going to add some green chili, some ginger, and some curry leaves. And we're going to saute all of that through until that mixture makes an aroma that will be released into the coconut milk that we are going to add next. So as you can see, we're sauteing all these ingredients together, and we're going to saute until the ginger pieces soften, the green chili gets that greenish, vibrant color to it, the onions are continuing to cook through and releasing its flavor, and all these flavors are going to combine. Next, we're going to add the cardamom, white ground pepper, and the salt. You can add black ground pepper in here too. I chose to use white ground pepper because that's what I had on hand and I wanted to try something different. So here we are adding the thin coconut milk first, and we're going to let it come to a boil. I also added a fourth a cup of water to this thin coconut milk because, as you can see, it's becoming boiled at a rigorous pace. So I wanted to kind of slow down the cooking a little bit. And that's what you have to do sometimes. You have to gauge the heat level and also how quickly that stew is going to be cooked. I don't want the water to evaporate quickly because I want to poach the fish in the stew and have the fish cook in this thin coconut milk for a good 10 to 12 minutes. So here it is coming to a rolling boil, and we're going to nestle the marinated flounder pieces into the stew. And we have to put this in very gently because the fish can break up, and so we want to keep the whole fish pieces in there so that it can poach and it can absorb those flavors of the ginger garlic marinade along with the green chilies in there and also the curry leaves. The coconut flavor is already perfumed with all those ginger, onion, and spice flavors. So we're going to add the rest of that marinade into the stew so that we can cook everything and the flavors can come together. So when this fish moilee dish comes together, it's actually a very light and low spice profile dish. It's perfect for people who are just beginning to explore their spicy palate and want to try something light and healthy. The ingredients are very simple. So we're going to stir this gently. Remember, we don't want to break up those flounder pieces, and we want it to cook and poach in that liquid. We're going to nestle some sliced tomatoes into this fish moilee stew, and we're going to cook it along with the fish. And as you can see, as the fish cooks, some of the pieces of the sliced tomato may hold its shape, and it looks really elegant on top of that vibrant white stew. We're going to cover the pot and make sure you cook it for about 10 to 12 minutes, but halfway through the cook time, take that pot and swirl it gently. Be careful, this is hot liquid in a stew, and so you want to make sure you don't burn yourself. Put the lid back on the pot and cook it for that completion of 10 to 12 minutes. We're adding that thick coconut milk now. As you can see, the reason we separated this coconut milk was so that the thickness of that coconut milk holds a lot more concentrated flavor. And that concentrated flavor is going to add to that coconutty flavor at the end. You'll be able to see once we cook this for another 5 minutes, that coconut flavor will be mild, but it's very, very predominant in this dish. The way it marries with the cardamom and the pepper, it just works. And so we're going to cook this for 5 more minutes. And as you can see, it's come to that stew consistency. As it sits, the stew will thicken. You won't have leftovers in this dish. We're going to turn the heat off now and move the pot a little off the heat, and then we're going to finish this dish with a little lemon juice. This is actually optional. You can add the lemon juice to taste. I added 1 teaspoon and then I went back and added another teaspoon because that tangy coconutty flavor became just so vibrant that that's what I preferred to have. And so all these ingredients and recipe details can be found at justthatspice.com. Drizzle that coconut oil on top as a finish and round out this stew. Serve this, like I said, alongside a bed of rice or with uppams. Paul uppam recipe is at justthatspice.com. Thanks for watching. See you next time.